of the Orioles come set. And the pitch.
Griffin toward the gap. This ball is down. It's extra bases for Connor Griffin. O'Hearn is coming home. Griffin doubles them in. Pirates up 1-0. A teenager has doubled in a run in his first plate appearance in the major leagues. Connor Griffin of the Pirates.
KG making his impact felt immediately. The Buccos have 3 victories on the road and 3 at home through 9 games. It took them 24 games to do that last year. Pirates have their first sweep of the season. They didn't do that until June last year, and it's their first sweep of the Baltimore Orioles since 1893. I'm dressed as a traffic cone. Vibes are high, and John Wehner joins us right now. Good morning to you, Rock. How you doing?
I'm doing great. What a weekend. A lot of fun.
Oh, what a blast. And John brought to us by Mr. Reuter Plumbing. I want to start with Griffin, and I know he's hitting 111, but your initial Connor Griffin impression, Rock.
You know, he's such a mature kid. He's obviously talented. That's why there's so much talk about him and, you know, whether or not he's coming or not coming. Then he gets here, and it couldn't have been a better start. You know, it's such a good at bat, you know, first major league at bat. You got the jitters. You got a runner on. You know, he's seeing nothing but breaking balls. He gets a slider, and it's up a little bit. And, man, you see the pop right out of the gate. You know, he stays on the pitch. It's out away from him, drives it into the gap. And it's kind of storybook, of course. It was great to see his family and friends going crazy up there, you know, but he stays pretty stoic. He kind of stays in the moment, as hard as that is in that situation. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. I enjoyed watching his defense because I haven't seen him much at shortstop. Obviously, he can handle it. He got some range, made a great play the other day, diving to his left, throwing the guy out, showing off the range, the strong arm. Hitting-wise, I mean, there's going to be some struggles. He's facing the best pitchers in the world, and quite frankly, you know, not even 30 games or so above A-ball. And so, you know, there's going to be, you know, some stretches where he struggles a little bit. And but, you know, I know they wanted him here. I think they feel that they're a better team with him at shortstop every day. And we'll see how he handles the bat. But, I mean, it was just a great, great atmosphere on Friday especially. I mean, the way the fans were reacting to him, and, you know, it was great fun.
It was awesome. I think that's as loud as the ballpark's been since the 13, 14, and 15 years. And there's a chance for Buccos fans, if Griffin's in the lineup tomorrow, to see him and Skeens on the field for the same time. So I'd expect a pretty good crowd there, too. And it's going to be chilly, but it's going to feel like October baseball. His eye has looked good to me, Rock, and that he challenged that pitch on opening day. I love that confidence from him, too.
Oh, he's definitely confident, you know, because you can tell even these veterans are unsure when to challenge, when not to challenge. And we saw why the other day on Saturday. You know, the Orioles, Gunnar Henderson challenged one in the top of the ninth inning. And so he got it wrong. They were out of challenges. Nick York got another pitch because they didn't have a challenge. He would have been rung up before the walk-off base hit. Yeah, I've seen it with Reynolds. I've seen it with Cruz. I've seen it with some other guys that had pitches to challenge, and you know, they were hesitant because they didn't want to waste it, and they weren't 100% sure. But, you know, I think he was confident enough that, hey, that wasn't a strike. Yeah, he's not afraid. That much I think is certain. I don't think he's afraid to be on this stage. I think he's a confident guy, and we'll see again because he, you know, other than that first at bat, he hasn't had another hit. And you know, with baseball, I don't care how old you are, how long you've been in the league. When you struggle, I mean, your confidence lacks a little bit. But so far, I haven't seen any of that from him.
John Wehner joining us on the Fan Hotline, presented by Sullivan Super Service, Pittsburgh's trusted plumbing and HVAC provider for over 50 years. John, the Pirates are 7th in all of Major League Baseball in OPS. They're 4th in MLB, 3rd in the NL in home runs. They're 7th in runs per game. I don't know if all that'll continue, but they're 4th in Major League Baseball right now in walks per game. And I think the approach has been great by pretty much everybody. I mean, we saw Henry Davis with a line drive knock the opposite way. Nick York's at-bat for the walk-off hit, I thought was a tremendous at-bat. I see no reason why this approach can't lead to these guys getting on base all season.
Yeah, that's a good point. The approach is huge. Every hit yesterday was up the middle or the other way. They didn't pull one ball for a base hit, which goes to show you that the approach is pretty much consistent up and down the lineup, especially you look at O'Neal Cruz and what he's doing against lefties. You know, a base hit against the righty early off of Bassett, off his leg, and then the home run to straightaway off a lefty, yet again, another hit off a lefty. But when your approach is to think middle of the field or the opposite gap, you're going to stay in the zone longer. You're going to see the ball a fraction of a second longer. You're less likely to chase. You're less likely to roll over and hit ground balls to the pull side. And there's more hits that way because most of the defenders, especially in the infield, are playing you to pull. And there's a lot of grass out there the other way. And yeah, that's a good point because when you think middle the other way, and it helps to have these veterans come in like Brandon Lau, Ryan O'Hearn, you know, that you could tell that they're up there and they have such professional at bats. They see the ball. That you don't see them chase very often. Every at bat seems to be a good at bat. They look so quiet and calm and confident in the box. I think that rubs off. I think that veteran leadership and know-how, I think, rubs off on the other guys. You know, guys like you mentioned, like Nick York, even Nick Gonzalez, I mean, that's kind of always been their approach. They'll use the whole field. I think it'll help a guy like Henry Davis that did nothing but pull off the ball last year and the year before, for that matter. It's nice to see him go the other way. Yeah, there's a lot of hits. And like you said, you'll see pitches a little bit longer, which makes you lay off the tough breaking ball that's breaking just out of the zone. So you will get more walks. Which gives you more opportunities. I'll go back to Saturday. You know, they had runners on all day long. You know, they just couldn't come up with the big hits until late, and they ended up scratching together just enough to win that game. You know, if you get those opportunities, sooner or later, people are going to drive them in, and that's what we're seeing. And it's also nice to see them get a nice big lead like yesterday because, you know, it's not very often this year so far where your starting pitcher can go out there with a nice lead and just pound the zone, which, by the way, they did. 14 punch-out, 0 walks. Yes. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Yeah, a little regression to the mean there because the Pirates have been walking a ton of guys through the first 8 games of this season. O'Neal Cruz, he leads the NL right now in home runs. His OPS is over 1,000. He was 11 for 108 last year against left-handed pitching. Now he's 7 for 11 with 3 home runs. Wehner, what do you think has gone into that? I know he worked on it a ton this offseason, but what are you seeing as far as his approach?
He's seeing it longer. I mean, it's terribly obvious how long he's seeing the ball against lefties. We're not seeing the chases. The home run he hit, there's not many major league hitters can hit that pitch out to center field. You know, I mean, it was almost on the inside corner. It was just barely off the corner, just on the inner third of the plate. And for him to be able, I mean, you could see it. A lot of times I watch the monitor and you kind of see where the pitch location is. I was watching it live and I just saw his hands pull. Like his hands, like, you know, he saw it was a fastball, and he saw it just a fraction of a second longer. The hands come inside, and I'm like, my goodness, that pitch was on the inside corner. Saw the replay, and I'm like, that there's just not many humans that can do that. I mean, I think of like Miguel Cabrera. You know, he was a guy that could, you know, stay inside that pitch and hit it out the center field, but. You know, everybody talks about work. All these guys work, you know, and sometimes it works. You know, sometimes it transitions into the game. Sometimes it doesn't. Whoever he was working with did a heck of a job with him because you can't simulate. You can't hire a left-handed pitcher and pitch to you in batting practice like a major league pitcher. It's just not going to happen. But what you do, and what it looks like to me, is whoever was working with him pounded into his head that, hey, we got to just see the ball a little bit longer, look to hit the ball the other way. They'll keep you on the breaking ball or keep you off the bad breaking ball, and you're still in a position to hit the fastball. And it's really remarkable. We need him to start doing it against righties now because he's not doing anything against right-handed pitching, which is hilarious. But, these guys, I hear so much about, they're working hard. Yeah, they're major league players. They're all working hard. I mean, Marcell Osuna's working hard. He was in the cage after the game the other night. He was in the cage. I saw him leaving it yesterday. He's working hard. It's just not clicking for him yet. But he's going to continue to work, and it will click sooner than later. And but to see results, especially when you hear about somebody working hard in the off season, come this soon and this drastically for a guy like O'Neal Cruz, whoever's working with him, I think one of the Guerreros did a heck of a job because it looks way different. And we've seen him have some success against left-handed pitching in spurts before, but the way it's going right now, it's really remarkable.
John, one more thing just based on the approach, too, something that I've noticed over the last couple of games. The Pirates are bunting when it's not so common in the game to bunt anymore. Why do you think that it's advantageous for them to be bunting in a lot of these situations?
We still don't see it a lot throughout baseball. It's part of Jake Mangum's game. Jake Mangum is, just a dirtbag that's going to play hard and do everything he can. He had that little swinging bunt the other day that the pitcher muffed. But, I brought this up during the game. We knew it was a bunt situation. He put down the perfect bunt. You just bunt it to the third baseman, make him field it. You're getting the runners up, but you're creating havoc too. Sometimes you get a better bunt down, and all of a sudden they got to make a perfect play. And this is what I brought up on the air. Defenses don't have to defend the bunt very often. So you had a young second baseman in Jeremiah Jackson that was way out of position. I don't know how often that he is in those situations where they're sacrificing because they don't do it in the minor leagues very often early or either. And so, you might work on it in spring training, but he was so far away from first base, Jake Mangum beat him to the bag. And so, anybody with that kind of speed and can handle a bat like that, okay, at the very least, you're moving runners up in the scoring position. And if, and you could end up with a situation like that where they don't defend it very well because the second baseman's out of position. So now you got bases loaded, no outs. It creates another opportunity. You end up having a big inning. You score 4. O'Hearn with a great at-bat going the other way with a down-and-away sinker. Again, approach. Not trying to pull that ball. He tries to pull that ball. He hits a grounder to second base. It's a double play. Stays on it, hits it in the gap the other way. You end up having a big inning, and then you just coast from there. But, with Donnie, I don't think they're going to bunt a ton, but you're going to have guys that can handle the bunt. It might be Mangum, might be Davis, might be, Triolo when he's back, or York, or Gonzalez, or who knows. But we're not going to see a lot. But, it's an opportunity to get guys in the scoring position, especially with this lineup where you have some professional hitters that can drive in runs. And, at times like yesterday, it's going to turn into a hit or a throwing error or something like that to where, you can get a big inning out of it.
Pirates starters, we spent the whole time here just talking about the hitting, but the Pirates have the 6th best ERA in Major League Baseball. Their starters have gone 9 consecutive games now to open the season without giving up a home run. The Pirates did it for 10 consecutive games in 1943. So the pitching is looking exactly the way we thought it would. Wehner, this is fun, man. I love it. Let's see if they can get it to 6 games tonight, and we will talk to you next week. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, a great homestand so far. Padres obviously coming in pretty good club, but we keep pitching like this. This lineup's going to win us a lot of ball games.
No doubt about it.
Good talk, fellas.
Good talk, Wehner. We'll talk to you next week. See ya. What a man.
See ya.
What a time to be alive. Are you kidding me? I'm dressed like a traffic cone. They're 6-3.
Hoist the Callas.
Hoist the Callas. Hoist the cone.